What happens when a late-night host pushes back against royal entitlement and the guest completely loses control on live television? In just 35 seconds, a single comment from Seth Meyers would trigger the most shocking meltdown ever witnessed on a talk show set, ending with security dragging a screaming prince off the stage. The Late Night with Seth Meyers studio was packed that evening. The audience had no idea they were about to witness television history. Prince Harry walked onto the stage with that familiar wave, that rehearsed smile. He sat down across from Seth, adjusting his jacket, looking comfortable. Too comfortable. Seth started with the usual pleasantries. "Welcome to the show. Great to have you here." Harry nodded. "Thanks for having me. So, you've been doing a lot of press lately. Lots of interviews. Lots of, well, sharing. How's that been going for you?" The audience chuckled. It was a gentle jab, nothing harsh. But Harry's face changed. His smile tightened. "I think people deserve to know the truth," Harry said. His tone was sharp, defensive. Seth leaned back in his chair. "Sure, absolutely. But some people might say there's a difference between sharing your truth and, airing out family business on every platform available." The audience went quiet. You could feel the tension building. Harry shifted in his seat. "You wouldn't understand," Harry said. "You're just a talk show host. You rid jokes off a card. You have no idea what it's like to live under that kind of pressure." Seth's eyebrows went up. The audience gasped. This wasn't playful banter anymore. This was something else. "Just a talk show host," Seth repeated slowly. "That's an interesting take. I work pretty hard at this. We all do. This show doesn't just magically appear every night." Harry waved his hand dismissively. "Please, you sit here in your comfortable studio with your writers and your applause signs. Don't compare your life to mine." Seth sat forward. His voice stayed calm, measured. "I'm not comparing our lives. I'm just saying that maybe, just maybe, dismissing what other people do for a living isn't the best look when you're trying to talk about, what was it, compassion and understanding." The audience started clapping. Not loud, but enough. Enough to show they were on Seth's side. Harry's face went red. "You think you're clever, don't you? You think these people actually like you. They're paid to be here. They're told when to laugh at your mediocre jokes." Seth shook his head. "Actually, no one's paid to be here. They wait in line for hours to get tickets. But go on." "Your show is terrible," Harry continued, his voice getting louder. "Your ratings are terrible. You're not even the best late-night host. You're not even in the top 3. The audience booed. Actually booed. Harry looked around, seeming shocked that they weren't on his side. Seth kept his composure. "Look, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. We can end this right now." "Oh, you'd love that, wouldn't you?" Harry snapped. "Kick me off your pathetic little show so you can get some attention. So you can finally be relevant for once in your career." "I don't need to kick you off," Seth said calmly. "You're doing a pretty good job of making yourself look bad all on your own." Harry stood up. "How dare you speak to me like that? Do you know who I am?" "Yeah," Seth said, still sitting. "You're a guest on my show. A guest who's being incredibly rude to everyone here." "I'm a prince," Harry shouted. The audience went completely silent. "I'm royalty. You're nobody. This audience is nobody. This whole show is nothing." Seth stood up now, too. "Okay, we're done here. Thank you for coming." "You can't dismiss me," Harry said, his voice shaking with anger. "I dismiss you." "This is my show," Seth said firmly, "and I'm asking you to leave." Harry pointed his finger at Seth's face. "You're going to regret this. Do you understand me? You're going to regret embarrassing me like this." "I'm not the one embarrassing you," Seth replied. "You're doing that all by yourself." Harry grabbed his chair and pushed it backward. It scraped loudly across the floor. You're a hack, a fraud. You're everything that's wrong with American television. The audience booed louder now. Someone shouted something from the back. Harry spun around. "Shut up!" Harry yelled at the audience. "All of you, just shut up!" Seth motioned to someone off stage. "Can we get security, please?" "You're calling security on me?" Harry's voice went even higher. "You're actually calling security on a member of the royal family?" "You're a guest who won't leave when asked," Seth said. "So yes, I'm calling security." 2 large security guards walked onto the stage. The audience watched in stunned silence. This wasn't part of the show. This was real. "Don't touch me," Harry warned as they approached. "I'm warning you. Don't put your hands on me." One of the guards spoke quietly to him, too quiet for the microphones to pick up. Harry jerked his arm away. "Get away from me," he shouted. "Seth, call them off. Call them off right now." "Leave the stage," Seth said. "Just walk away, and we can all move on." "I'm not leaving until I'm ready to leave," Harry said. He sat back down in the guest chair, crossing his arms like a child. Seth looked at the camera, then at the audience. "Folks, we're going to take a quick break." "No!" Harry shouted, jumping back up. "No breaks. We're not done talking." "Yes, we are," Seth said. "We've been done for a while now." Harry moved closer to Seth's desk, getting right in his face. "You think you can treat me this way? You think there won't be consequences?" The security guards stepped between them. "Sir, you need to leave now," one of them said. "Or what?" Harry challenged. "What are you going to do?" "We'll escort you out," the guard said calmly. "You'll drag a prince off a television stage." Harry laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. It was wild, unhinged. "That's what you want to do? That's the choice you want to make?" Seth spoke to the guards. "Please remove him from the stage." The guards each took one of Harry's arms, not roughly, but firmly. "Let go of me," Harry screamed. His voice cracked. "Let go of me right now. I demand that you let go of me." The audience watched in complete shock as the guards started walking Harry toward the exit. His feet dragged slightly. He was resisting, but not fighting, just dead weight. "You're making a huge mistake, Seth," Harry yelled over his shoulder. "A huge mistake. You have no idea what you've just done. No idea." "I think I do," Seth said quietly. "Your career is over," Harry screamed. "Do you hear me? Over. I'll make sure of it. I know people. Important people. You're finished." The guards kept moving him steadily toward the stage exit. Harry tried to plant his feet, but they just kept moving. "This is assault," Harry yelled. "You're all witnessing assault. Someone call the police. Call someone." The audience sat frozen. Some people had their phones out, recording. Others just stared with their mouths open. "I'm serious," Harry continued, his voice getting more desperate. "This isn't right. This isn't how you treat people. Seth, please. Seth, stop this." But Seth just stood there, arms crossed, watching Harry get escorted off his stage. "You're going to pay for this," Harry shouted as they reached the curtain. "All of you. This whole network. I'll sue everyone. I'll make sure everyone knows what happened here." His voice got fainter as they pulled him behind the curtain, but you could still hear him yelling. "You can't do this to me. I'm Prince Harry. I'm Prince Harry. Do you understand? You can't treat me like this." Seth turned to the camera. His face was calm, but you could see he was processing what just happened. The audience didn't know whether to clap or stay silent. "Well," Seth said finally, "that was something." A few people laughed nervously, then a few more. Then the whole audience started applauding. Not because it was funny, but because Seth had handled it with such grace, such control. He could have escalated. He could have fought back harder. But he stayed professional the entire time. "We're going to take that break now," Seth said. "When we come back, we'll have some music, and maybe we'll all just take a breath and remember why we're here. To have a good time, to relax, to not, scream at security guards. The audience laughed again, this time more genuinely. Behind the curtain, you could still hear muffled shouting. Harry's voice, still going, still protesting, still making threats. Seth glanced toward the sound, then back at the camera. "He's still going," he said with a small smile. "Impressive stamina, really." More laughter from the audience. The tension was breaking. One of the producers walked onto the stage and whispered something to Seth. He nodded. "Apparently," Seth told the audience, "we need to actually, legally, really take this break now. So, we'll be right back, hopefully with a guest who wants to be here." The applause sign lit up, and the audience clapped as they cut to commercial. But even during the break, you could hear it. That voice, still yelling from somewhere backstage, still insisting that this was wrong, that he was important, that everyone would regret this. The band started playing something upbeat to cover the noise. The audience members looked at each other, still processing. This wasn't what they'd expected when they'd waited in line for hours to see a talk show taping. Seth sat at his desk, drinking some water, talking to his producers. He looked tired, suddenly. The adrenaline was wearing off, and the reality was setting in. He'd just had a member of the British royal family forcibly removed from his stage. A crew member approached him with a tablet, showing him something. Probably social media, probably the video already spreading online. Seth looked at it and shook his head. Not in regret. More like disbelief that it had actually happened. The warm-up comedian tried to get the audience energized again. He made a few jokes about what they'd just witnessed, testing the waters. The audience laughed, grateful for the release. "So that's not usually how these go," the warm-up guy said. "Usually the guests say thank you and wave, and everyone's happy. This is a new one for all of us." Someone in the audience asked if Harry was okay. The warm-up comedian paused. "He's fine," he said, "just having a really, really bad day, and making sure everyone else knows about it." More laughter. The audience was on Seth's side completely. Whatever sympathy anyone might have had for Harry had evaporated the moment he'd started insulting everyone. Backstage, the yelling had finally stopped. Security had gotten Harry into a private room, away from the studio, away from the cameras. But the damage was done. Everyone had seen it. Everyone had heard it. Seth's producers were already doing damage control, making calls, sending emails, preparing statements. This was going to be everywhere. Every news outlet, every social media platform, every late-night show tomorrow would be talking about it. The band finished their song. The applause sign lit up again. They were coming back from commercial. Seth straightened his tie and put on his professional face. The cameras started rolling. "We're back," Seth said, "and we're going to have a great rest of the show. We have an amazing musical guest coming up. We have some fun bits planned. And we're going to try to remember that television is supposed to be, enjoyable." The audience clapped, supportive, warm. "I want to say something quickly," Seth continued. "What you just saw wasn't planned. That wasn't a bit. That was a real situation that got out of hand. And I think we all handled it the best we could." More applause. Someone whistled. "We invite people onto this show because we want to have interesting conversations," Seth said. "We want to learn things. We want to laugh. We want to give people a platform to share their stories. But that doesn't mean anyone gets to be disrespectful to our crew, our audience, or anyone working hard to make this show happen every single night." The applause got louder. People were standing now, a standing ovation for handling a difficult situation with class. "So thank you," Seth said, "for being an amazing audience. Thank you for being here. And thank you for understanding that sometimes, very rarely, We have to make hard choices about who gets to stay on this stage. He looked directly at the camera. If you're watching at home, I hope you enjoyed the show so far. Well, maybe not the last 15 minutes, but everything before that was pretty good, right? The audience laughed. The mood had shifted. It was okay now. They could move forward. Now, Seth said, settling into his chair, let's talk about something way less dramatic. Let's talk about the weather. Another laugh. The show continued. But everyone watching knew they'd just witnessed something unprecedented. Something that would be talked about for years. The night a prince got kicked off a talk show for acting like an entitled brat. The night security had to drag someone off the stage while they screamed about their importance. The night Seth Meyers proved that no matter who you are, no matter what your title is, you don't get to treat people poorly without consequences. The rest of the show went smoothly. The musical guest was great. The comedy bits landed. Seth did his signature desk piece about the news. Everything was normal again. Professional. Fun. But everyone watching knew what the real story was. What everyone would be talking about tomorrow. Not the jokes. Not the music. But those 35 seconds when Seth Meyers made a simple comment about sharing too much, and Prince Harry completely lost his composure, his dignity, and eventually his place on the stage. In the green room, Harry's team was scrambling. Phone calls, urgent whispers, damage control mode. But there was no controlling this, no spinning it. Everyone had seen exactly what happened. Everyone had heard exactly what was said. The audience filed out after the show, buzzing with energy. They couldn't believe what they'd witnessed. They pulled out their phones immediately, texting friends, posting about it, sharing their experience. I was there, they'd say. I saw it happen. I saw him lose it completely. Seth stayed on stage for a while after the cameras stopped rolling, talking to his crew, making sure everyone was okay, thanking them for handling an impossible situation with professionalism. His head writer approached him. That was intense. Yeah, Seth said. That was something. You handled it perfectly. The writer said. I just tried to stay calm, Seth replied. What else could I do? Yell back? That's what he wanted. He wanted a fight. Well, you didn't give him one, the writer said. You were the adult in the room. Seth nodded. I just kept thinking, this is my show. This is my stage. I get to decide who stays and who goes. Title or no title. And that was it. That was the whole story. A talk show host who stood his ground. A guest who couldn't handle being treated like everyone else. A moment that proved that respect isn't about where you come from or what your last name is. It's about how you treat the people around you. The producers would later say it was the craziest thing they'd ever seen in their careers. The band would say they couldn't believe they kept playing through it. The crew would say they'd never forget the look on Harry's face when he realized he was actually being removed from the stage. But Seth would just say it was unfortunate, that he wished it hadn't happened, that he hoped Harry would learn something from it, that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, whether you're a prince or a production assistant or anyone in between. The video would spread everywhere, millions of views in hours, everyone weighing in, everyone taking sides, but most people, the vast majority of people, would say the same thing. Seth did the right thing. He stood up for his show, his staff, his audience. He didn't let someone's title or status give them permission to act terribly. And Harry? Well, Harry was escorted out of the building, still complaining, still insisting he'd been wronged, still not understanding that the problem wasn't what happened to him. The problem was what he'd done, how he'd acted, what he'd said. The night ended like it always did. The lights went down. The audience went home. The crew packed up the equipment. Another show in the books. except this time, everyone knew they'd been part of something memorable, something that would be replayed and discussed and analyzed for years to come. Seth Meyers, the calm professional who never lost his cool. Prince Harry, the entitled guest who lost everything else. And a studio audience that watched it all unfold in real time, unable to look away, unable to believe what they were seeing. What happens when someone thinks their title makes them immune to basic courtesy? They find out that on someone else's stage, in someone else's house, their title doesn't mean a thing. Respect is earned, not inherited. And when you forget that, when you treat people like they're beneath you, you might just find yourself being shown the door. Or in this case, being dragged through it while you scream about how important you think you are. The lesson was clear. The moment was unforgettable. And Seth Meyers proved that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply stand your ground and say, enough is enough. No yelling, no drama, just calm, firm boundaries. Just basic human decency. Just the understanding that everyone deserves respect and no one deserves to be treated poorly, no matter who's doing the treating. That was the night. That was the moment. That was the 35 seconds that changed everything and showed everyone exactly who handled pressure with grace and who crumbled under the weight of their own entitlement.